Welcome to the Reddit Ranger, where OP shuts down his clown of a player. Our first post today is, I've got a troll in my party, and I think I can handle it. Technically it's two trolls, but one is vastly more of a trolley than the other. As a premise, one of my coworkers asked me one day last week if I play D&D, seemingly out of nowhere. Apparently, one of his kids started getting obsessed with the game very recently. I told him yes, offered him to borrow my books, and if they could get enough people together, I'd DM a game for them. Now, when I say kid, I mean teenager, and I am a 27-year-old dude. I figure, what can go wrong? I set up a Discord server, get a bot to roll dice, and receive the son's contact info. After like 3 text messages, I send him the link to the server to be distributed to the friends. Most of them appear within the first few hours, except for Trouble. Literally. That is what all these kids call him. I've got no idea on ages, and these kids want to roleplay, so I say they can roleplay as much as they want. But if it goes off the rails, to take it off server, and I'll give a fade to black moment. Yesterday was session 0. All these guys are new, so we spent the first hour and a half of the session going over character sheets. All 7 of them. Yes, I am DMing a game for 7 very new to the game players. It was going really well, with the exception of Trouble and BT. Baby Troll, talking about a console game while we are trying to get characters sorted, and we eventually got everyone taken care of. Realizing just how early it was, I decided to give the kids a taste of D&D and get their characters to a bar for their first quest. A brief introduction as they make their way into town, what they look like, a bit of their backstory, and how they got to the bar. One player even having his criminal/spy contact in the city grab another player as they come into town. I let that happen all of one time before everyone is making investigation checks to find the bar. Then comes Trouble. Trouble is a barbarian, human I believe, whose character sheet has very non-standard equipment for his class and background. His character is also apparently a lawyer who gained knowledge on being a lawyer by fighting monsters. Has a big old afro like Captain Underpants. I'm pretty sure that's not quite accurate since I'm 100% positive Captain Underpants is bald. Never watched the movie, and these guys are all clearly teenagers, with a tiny crown on top, overalls, and fancy shoes. Yes, he is literally a clown. I'm dealing with it. His sheet has a camel, a draft horse, a grenade launcher, dust of the mummy, and other unapproved items. Thankfully, none of them have come up yet, but I've got a plan. I'll tell him his character truly believes he has all these things. When he rolls, he will roll the damage for that grenade launcher, but the target won't actually take any damage. But in his mind, it's as effective as he thinks it is. Essentially making his character as schizophrenic that has completely lost touch with reality. Session 0 ended as a PvP fight was about to break out, not involving Trouble or Baby Troll, and my 3-year-old, who I was taking care of at the time, started to have a meltdown, so I put a pin in the game for when we start Session 1 tomorrow. Wish me luck. Yeah, wow, OP, I don't envy your situation at all. I remember being that problem player. It was kind of fun on my end for a little bit until it wasn't. Our next Reddit post is from JB2Head. My players mutilated an innocent town mayor. My favorite D&D moment. Once upon a time, I was leading a campaign of 4 players. Their classes don't exactly matter, but for those curious, it was 1 gnome rogue, a half-orc sorcerer, a human fighter, and an elvish wizard. In this campaign, homebrew by the way, I added a unique twist. taking a bit of an homage from One Piece and made fruit a really central theme. It wasn't an exact translation from the anime for those who've seen it. Some fruits were rarer than others, and some were vegetables, but basically I used a lot of these fruits as one-time magical effects that could be used for a variety of purposes. One such item was a spicy fruit. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it would give the user flame breath for the very next time they spoke. Usually, this not taken into account since the effect was used immediately in combat. Anyways, one happy encounter, our fighter decides to take one from his pouch and munch on it. But being the ever-resourceful player that they were, he never actually needed to use it, and so he made it a point to hold off on speaking during the entire encounter. Keep in mind, this person's character is the typical brooding, silent type to make up for the fact that he is quite shy out of character. Fast forward to shortly after the encounter, the players arrive back at the town hall. The mayor had hired them to exterminate the giant rats and snakes that were preying upon the town's children. You get where this is going. Fighter comes in with the rest of the party. The mayor stands up and bows to them, shaking their hands graciously, and the fighter says, "You're welcome." The wizard player facepalms. The sorcerer grabs his gut and lets out a bellowing chuckle. I'm sat there confused, until the fighter turns and asks, "How much damage does the spicy fruit deal again?" We all lose it. The mayor loses his eyebrows. We still joke about it from time to time. Sometimes I think the best stories are the ones that come from our mistakes. And you know what, OP? I do kind of have to agree with that. And also, OP, anytime somebody's going to borrow something from one of my favorite long-running series ever, they're going to get a thumbs up from me. And here's a story from DTSRaider. So I convinced my ranger that a dead body was a bag of sand. Me and my party were wandering through some catacombs when we turned a corner so there was no light. Our wizard and I both had dark vision, so instead of having our ranger waste a torch, I told him to put his hand on my back and follow close. We both go down the tunnel until we reach a room with a bunch of water in it. Me and the wizard both immediately notice a naked dead body face down in the middle of the water. We don't say anything to the ranger, but okay, this is good. But I decide to slap them cheeks. It made a noise that the ranger noticed and Okay, let me do that again. It made a noise that the ranger noticed and shenanigans ensued. The ranger asks, "What was that?" I started out, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. I roll for deception and fail. He then asks again what it is. The wizard says it's just a bag of sand. He is successful with his roll. At this point, the ranger is thinking that it's a dangerous bag of sand. He then decides to light a torch. The wizard and I scramble to block the body from view, and it works. Eventually, he gives up, but is still concerned about the dangerous bag of sand. On the way out of the catacombs, however, we approached the room and the wizard and I had forgotten about our little stunt. However, for some reason, the body was gone and was replaced with a bag of sand. The wizard and I look at each other and think, uh-oh, stuff's about to get real nasty. We enter the room, me and the wizard are both freaking out, but nothing happens and we exit the catacombs no problem. To this day, the ranger still thinks that the sound of the ranger still thinks that the sound of butt cheeks being slapped sounds enough like the sound of slapping a bag of sand. Meanwhile, the wizard and I are still confused as to what the heck happened to have a body supposedly turn into a bag of sand. Alright, OP, so that was actually a pretty good one right there. So yeah, this is definitely one of those kind of stories that I love reading on this sub. The kind that just has like that can give you like the kind of unexpected belly laugh, just from how absurd the situation might actually end up getting to be. And also possibly laying groundwork for a future adventure as well, because finding out exactly what happened to that body could have led into something. I don't know if it did, since unless OP posts a follow-up to this, which I kind of hope happens, just because I'm kind of curious to see if the DM does follow up on that and do something to explain what happened to that body, or if it's that's just going to be a mystery that they just leave like that to have OP and his wizard companion be completely creeped out. That'd be kind of hilarious either way. That was r/DnD Stories. Now remember, the best way to avoid getting clowns in your party is to go ahead and like and subscribe.